So let's complete this negotiation task. So let's say it is completed. So if you see the process instance status, okay, so we are here. Okay, so now the task is completed. So once the task is completed, so you have specified the status as completed. Okay, you have specified the status as completed. So that's why the control will come here. Okay, the control comes here, and this task, okay, negotiation success should be sent to this this decision maker, or yeah. So policy viewer, to this policy viewer, the status will be sent. I am going to log in as John. Okay, so you can see he has this task. So what exactly the task status you see? So the task is timed out. Okay, the task was timed out. So I'm going to send the request once again, then we'll test it again. The task goes to the next user, policy viewer. So he is going to complete this. So now the task goes to negotiator Tony. So I had to do this within 5 minutes. So we set the status. And he's going to enter the reference ID. And he completes the process. Now the control goes back to the policy viewer, John. Okay, there you can see negotiation success. Okay, so he has received the negotiation success. Okay, and if you see the process status, okay, so you see the process status. Process name is so he's going to complete this task. Okay, he's going to complete these tasks. Okay, so this is how you will be using the eventing feature, and that's how you will enable so two processes to communicate. Okay, so this process is communicating with the negotiation process. So using the intermediate message events and start and end message events. So one process is using the intermediate message events, and another process is sending events, so by using the end message event activities. So in these places you can use the messaging feature in the start, in the end message events, as well as the intermediate message events. Okay, throw and send. And you have one more way also. Okay, one more way also you have to enable the communication. Okay, that is using the send and receive task. Okay, so you can also enable messaging communication between two processes using this feature. Okay, send and receive message. Okay, and so you do have another option. So these are the operations. These are the options you have for for enabling message exchange. So using which the processes can communicate, and you can communicate with the external systems. Okay. Now I want to enable the debugging feature. Okay, I want to enable the debugging feature for this process. Okay, for this process, I'm going to enable the debugging feature. Okay, and for that, so I'm going to set the breakpoints also. Okay, you can also set the breakpoints. So I'm going to set breakpoints from here. Okay, so I'll specify add after. So I'm going to add the breakpoint. So after this. Okay, so I'm going to add the breakpoint after this. And then, so I'm going to enable the debugging feature for this process. So, which means I'm going to connect. Okay, I'm going to connect the debug agent. Okay, I'm going to connect debug agent so to my BPM node, so that we can test the process, or we can debug the process visually. Okay, so go to preferences. Now preferences. Yeah. So go to debugger. Okay, and select debug configurations. Okay, so there you have the process engine, and select your BPM runtime. Okay, so select the BPM runtime, and so it's already configured. Okay, it's already configured. So test your connection. Okay, the connection has been success. Okay, now, so I'm going to select debug. Now the window will shift to the debug console or the debug view. Okay, and then so once you are in debug console, so select process launcher. Okay, select the process launcher. So which one you want to test, you need to specify that. So I want to test the loan process. This one I want to test. So select that. So when you select your process, it will show you a sample request message that you can enter. So you can see, so this is a SOAP message, but it has automatically added the basic authentication. Okay, it is automatically added the basic username password authentication. Okay. And here we're going to specify the date. Okay. So I'll enter my data. Okay. So just enter your data and then start it. Click connect. So when you run that, so there you can see, so it is showing the process is here. Okay, your control is here. Okay, now, so I'm going to log in as that user. So we have the user Tony, John. So I'm going to log in as John. Okay, he has one task. So he is going to open the task and he will complete the task. Okay, now the task goes to the next user. Okay, the task goes to other user. So who is this guy? Okay, Tony. So I'm going to log in as Tony. Okay, I stepped over. The control is here. Okay, now I'm going to step over. Okay, I stepped over. The control went to negotiation process. So when I refresh here, so you can see one task is ready for me. So he is going to enter data in that. So I have 300. Negotiation status. Let's say he's going to specify this time failed. Okay, not available. And then he's going to click on submit. Okay, click on submit. Yeah. So there you can see, since he selected fail, the control went here. So which is accept fail. So visually you can see, you can manually drive, so how the flow is going. Okay, so step over. Now the control went to negotiator. Okay, the control went to negotiator. And let's log in as John. Okay, so there you can see the negotiated failed task is failed. Okay, negotiation status failed. And he is going to complete the task. Okay, the process has been completed. I mean, the task is completed. So your debug pointer is moved to end of the task. And you have to step it over. And you have the control here. Okay, and again step over. Okay, then the process is terminated. So if you want to visually test your process, you can use this debugger option. You can use. Okay, you can launch debug perspective. You can launch. Okay, and you can also set some emulators. Okay, you can also set some emulators, which means what data you are expecting. Okay, on request path, what data you are expecting. On response path, what data you are expecting. So that information you can configure here. Okay, that information you can configure here. So, but for that, so first you have to set up emulator for your project. So when you are creating a project, it will ask you to configure one emulator project. Okay, so you have to configure emulation. Okay, so then you can configure emulators like sample data, and you can test it accordingly. Okay. So now we have seen how process definitions can communicate. Okay, so I'm going to remove this debug thing here. Okay, I remove the breakpoints. Now let's say, for example, so I want to implement deadlines. Okay, I want to implement deadlines. And we were using, before going into that, we were using logs. We have used logs. You can check the logs from here. So somewhere here we should have the logs, so that you can see. Okay, the sending failed callback. Okay, so all this, whatever you have, there you can see. So initiating negotiation, so accept a negotiation, sending failed negotiation callback. So whatever you have logged from there, and they log to this path. Okay. Okay, so we have a concept called deadline. So which means, so you will be setting some time. Okay, you're going to set some time. So the task must be completed within that specific amount of time. Okay, the task must be completed, so within that specific amount of time. So if you don't do that, okay, if the task is not completed in time, you want to escalate. Okay, you want to escalate that the task is not completed within the specific time. So this concept is what you call as deadline. Setting the time for task to complete. So that's what you call as deadline. If the user doesn't complete the task in time, so multiple options you can do. So either you can send a reminder or you can escalate the task to some other user. Okay, you can escalate the task to some other user. Okay, so multiple options you have. So what I'm going to do is, so we will send a simple reminder. Okay, we will send a simple reminder if the task is not completed in time. Okay. Okay, so how do you set the deadline? So for that, so go to catch intermediate event, and there you have timer. So catch timer intermediate event. So all this catch type of intermediate events. So you have two types of again catch intermediate events. One is boundary. Okay, one is boundary intermediate events, and second one is inline intermediate events. The inline intermediate means you will be specifying them in the process. Okay, inline intermediate event means you will be specifying them in the process. Okay, in the sequence flow you will specify. And at the same time you will be having the boundary events. Okay, you will be having boundary events. And the boundary event means you will be specifying them on the boundary of the task. Okay, you will be specifying them on the boundary of the task. Okay, so let's specify that. So here I am having the catch intermediate event. So select the catch intermediate event and specify that here. Okay, now so you have to specify okay, you have to specify what time interval you're going to specify. So you can see, so use as activity deadline. Okay, so for that, so you're having again two options you have. So one is withdraw task on timeout. Okay, you have the option as withdraw task on timeout. And at the same time, you have the second one, continue task on timeout. Okay, you have the second option which is continue task on timeout. Okay, so it's up to you. Now if you are doing escalation, okay, if you're doing escalation, so which means if you have two users, okay, if you're having two users, if one user is not completing the task, you want to send that request to second user to complete. If that is the case, what you do, you'll withdraw task from the first user and you're going to send that same task to second user. Okay, if you're having two users, if your requirement is this, that if one user didn't complete task in time, you want to send the same task to second user to complete. So in that case, you will be using withdraw task and timeout. But if you have this requirement, so where you will be simply sending reminders. Okay, you'll be simply sending reminders. So then you will be using continue task on timeout. So sending reminder means what here? Now, if you don't complete the task in time, you will simply send a reminder by saying that the task is not completed, so try to complete the task in time. It's a kind of reminder to him. And later on, he can come back and he can complete the task. Okay, later on, he can come back and he can complete the task. So even though the task is expired, still you are giving opportunity to the user to complete that particular task, but only you will be sending a reminder to him. So then you will be using continue task on timeout. Or if you are having escalation, you will be using this withdraw task on timeout. So but I am going to use the second option. Okay, I'm going to the second option. And then so I'll specify JavaScript. You can use JavaScript to define the time. Okay, you can use JavaScript to define the time dynamically, or you can use constant period. Okay, I'm going to continue constant period, and I'm going to specify 1 minute. So which means he should complete the task within a minute. Okay, within a minute he should complete the task. Okay. So here you have the reschedule timeout. So reschedule timer event you are having. Okay, you are having the reschedule timer event. Complete the task in 1 minute. So later on, after 5 minutes, okay, after 5 minutes, once again, you can schedule the task for the same user. Okay, once again, you can schedule the task for the same user. So that's for rescheduling. Okay, but in my case, I just want to send a reminder if you don't complete the task. Okay. Now, and then set the type as user task. I'll create a custom form. I will select no interface data association required. Okay, and I will specify the user to him. Okay, I set the participant for this user. And I will just specify some statement for him. I will specify one. Do you have any label field here? Okay, so okay, this statement he will be saved. Now, now, so let's say for example, now like how we have deadlines. Okay, how we have deadline concept. So similar to that, we have another concept. Okay, so which is called withdraw. Okay, which is called withdraw. So how we have deadlines? So like that only, you have one more concept which is withdraw. So as the name suggests, sometimes you have to withdraw the task from the user inbox automatically. Okay, sometimes you have to withdraw the tasks from the user inbox. Okay, you have to withdraw the task from the user inbox automatically. Okay, so how exactly you can do that? Now in this case, so if he is not completing the task in 1 minute, okay, if he is not completing the task in 1 minute, what you are doing? You are sending a reminder. And the state, what configuration you have done here? So you have set continue task and timeout. Okay, you have set the option as continue task and timeout. So after 1 minute, he gets the reminder. And still his task is live only. Okay, still his task is his task is live only. Now let's say for example, after 1 minute he completed this task. Okay, after 1 minute he completed this task. Now since the task is completed, and even though the SLA is violated, you have to simply withdraw this reminder. Okay, you have to simply withdraw this reminder. Okay, you have to withdraw this reminder. So how exactly you can do that? Okay, how exactly you can do that? Okay, so when you want to perform withdraw, so you will be using signal event activities. Okay, you'll be having signal events. Okay, using signal events, so you can perform the task withdrawal. So usually the signal events will be helpful to implement publish subscript. Okay, usually signal events will be used to enable publish subscribe communication between business processes. So other usage also is there for signal events. So you can use signal events to implement the task withdrawal. So two usages are there for signal events. So one to enable publish subscribe communication, and the second one to implement this withdrawal conditions. Okay. Okay. So let's use the signal events. So let's take an event, and I will change the event type to signal. So throw signal event. Okay, throw signal event. So I will give a name for that. Okay. So I will give a name for that. Okay. So the withdraw reminder. Now this signal I'm going to catch here. Okay, I'm going to catch the signal here. So then this task will be withdrawn. So you have to specify which signal you want to catch. Okay, so that's the signal you will be catching. So what do you want to do? So two options are there. again. So cancel the task when the signal is caught and continue task when the signal is caught. So in our case, so you have to withdraw the reminder. So that's why, so we'll be cancelling the task when the signal is caught. Okay, but if you select this option, so multiple options you will be having. So continue task when signal is caught. If you select this one, so then you can perform some other options. So as part of reschedule, you can perform some other options. Okay, so I will only select so catch task when signal is caught, and then I'm just going to I will use one script task. Okay, I'll use one script task. Okay, I'll use a script task, and in this I will simply log. Okay, this picture. Okay, now so we'll test few more concepts together. Now, so for every role, okay, for every role in your business process, okay, for every role in your business process, you can assign one lane. Okay, for every role in your organization, you can create a lane for that. So I'm going to create a lane for this. So this I'm going to name it as okay, claim verification. Or, okay, documents verification, lane it is. Okay, and similarly, I will configure one more lane. Okay, and that, so I'm going to name it as Okay, so here we'll be performing fraud check and risk factor. So in this lane, we will see the concept of, okay, in that lane, we will see the concept of inline sub-process. Okay, inline sub-process, exception handling, and parallel task execution. Okay, so those concepts we'll see in this. Okay, so rest we'll see tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow first we'll complete this, and then all together we will test it. Okay. Okay, Sudhakar, so welcome. Good night, Sudhakar.